Hey guys, Soul Closet here, back making another video, and today I'm going to try something a little bit different than usual. I've been getting pretty interested over the last 6 to 8 months or so in the hacking of Nintendo consoles, notably the Wii U and 3DS. I've been doing Wii stuff for a long time. But I find it really interesting the ways in which people can exploit the Wii U and the 3DS. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Wii U specifically. And I'm not going to be going over how to get illegal games, or how to play them, or anything about how to actually do that, because there are many tutorials that can tell you a lot better than I can, and this isn't a tutorial as it is. This video is more just a cool kind of explanation of why you can get games illegally on a Wii U, and how it works. So this isn't advocating that you do so, or saying that you shouldn't. This isn't telling you how to do it. This is just how it works, you know? It's like I can tell you how a nuclear bomb works, but that doesn't mean I'm telling you how to get one. Same thing. So, the essential way in which getting illegal games on a Wii U works is you've got your Wii U, so let's make that the Wii U, right? That's your Wii U. And somewhere over here is Nintendo's servers, right? We'll put an N there for Nintendo. So normally this is how it would go when you do it the legal way. So I put legla. Whatever. Legla. When you do it legally. There you go. Legally. Sorry about that. So when you legally buy a game from Nintendo, from your Wii U, to play it off of the eShop, this is what happens. So on the Wii U, you put in your info. So let's put, credit card info, and you pay. Okay, so that's step one. So you pay. And when you pay, that tells Nintendo's servers that you paid. So once you've paid for the game, they say, you own the game. And once you own the game, they take a key and they send your Wii U the key. So now you have the key. Okay? And this key is called the title key. What it basically means is that if your Wii U has the title key in the right place, then according to Nintendo servers, you own that game. Now, by normal means, and again, we're talking about legal or legla means here, by normal means, you can only get title keys by owning a game. And by owning the game, I mean you bought it or received it through a promotion or redeemed a code or something, but you've received the game in some way according to Nintendo, and then they send you the key. And that's the only way to get those keys as far as Nintendo intends you to be able to. So once you have the key, Nintendo never checks again whether or not you have paid for the game, right? So you own the key, or you have the key on your console. And then the next step is that you essentially use that key to request a download. And when you request a download, that's a weird line there, but I meant to just draw a line. You request a download from Nintendo, and they send you the files. They send your Wii U the files, and they authenticate the sending of these files using the title key. So I'm going to do that there. That's the key, right? And so then they send you the files. So that goes back to you. And then once you have the files, right, you've got the files for the game, they then get installed locally after you download them. And in downloading and installing is the same process, essentially. You click download, and it will download the files and then install them all in one go. If you've bought anything from the eShop or on any online game service for a console, you are familiar with this process. It installs the game, and then you can play. Yay, you can play the game. Mission success, right? So that's how you do it legally. But how does it work illegally? Well, it's actually much the same way. There's all sorts of dots here, but whatever. So let's, again, draw the Wii U and Nintendo. Do them a little closer to each other this time, so I'm not making all sorts of curvy lines. So you've got the Wii U, and you've got Nintendo servers. Now, last time, so I'm gonna label this illegally. Last time, when we did this legally, the first step was to send Nintendo the money, or, give them the rights to charge you to your credit card info or whatever you use, so that they can send you the key. However, if you do it illegally, the first step is to take your Wii U and modify, well, not firmware necessarily, but system. Modify the system. And what that entails is a kernel exploit. And I'm not going to get too much into what a kernel exploit is, but one of the many things that it allows you to do is access, read and write certain parts of the Wii U's file system that you would not usually be able to do. The other thing that it allows you to do is it allows you to send code, run arbitrary code on the Wii U's processor and coprocessor. That includes its encryption processor. I don't remember which one that is off the top of my head. I should have written it down. But let's just say we've got processor 1, so P1, and processor 2, P2. And processor 1 is the CPU. Processor 2 is for encryption, right? And you might be wondering, well, what does the encryption have to do with it? Essentially, when you have the title key for a game, right, the only way that your Wii U will let you install the files for a game is if they have been signed by the place that you got them from, which is supposed to be Nintendo, with the key and with a key specific to your console, right? And so the way in which illegal games are installed on a Wii U is by bypassing the signing of the game files with your unique key to your Wii U. So we're not talking the title key for the game. That's how you get the game. We're talking the installation in regards to your specific cryptographic key. That means that it's you and not someone else's Wii U. So let's draw this out. So the first step, modify the system, do a kernel exploit, get control over the processors, right? And that's a vast simplification. I'm not a developer, so I can't go into more detail, but I don't need to for this video. So you get control over that and you allow yourself to run arbitrary code, right? So once you have that, you obtain, and I'm going to put that in quotes because it entails things that I'm not going to talk about in this video. Remember, this isn't about the method. So you obtain title keys. Title keys. Depends on how many things you want. So you get the title key for the software from Nintendo that you want to install. So once you have the title key, you can then get the game from Nintendo servers. So just like when we did this legally, we sent a request to download once we had the key. And like I said before, it doesn't matter how you get the key. Once you have the key, Nintendo doesn't care if you actually have bought the game or not. It doesn't check your purchase history, like something like Steam would. So we send a request to download, and that's where we go over here. So that's all like the first step. That's the setup for getting games illegally on a Wii U. So then, the same thing happens on Nintendo's server side. They think that you own the game. So I'm going to put you own, quotation marks, the game, right? They think you own the game. And then they send you the files. And the only reason they think you own the game, again, is because you have the title key. They don't know how you got the title key, right? So they send you the files, and the files come back to you. So I'm going to say get files. But then we run into another problem, and I mentioned this earlier. How do you install a game if the game can't be signed with your Wii U's key, right? Well, this is something that in the Wii U hacking community they call sig patching or signature patching. Essentially what sig patching does is it involves running, or what it is it involves running code through kernel, through an exploited Wii U, code that you're not supposed to be able to run, that tells your Wii U that anything trying to install is patched or signed to your Wii U, hence signature patching. It's patching everything that comes in to have that signature of your Wii U, whether or not it was pre-signed with that code or not, right? When you do it legally, I'll bring this back up. When you do it legally, right here when Nintendo sends you the files, the files would be signed with your key, right? So that key would sign these files, and then when they get sent to you, your Wii U says, that's signed with my key, I can install. So in this case, you sig patch, and then you can install, because according to your Wii U, those files are meant to go to it. It doesn't matter, it doesn't know any better than, well, this is patched for me, so I can install it, right? So you install. And then, once you've installed, you can play. There you go. And you'll see Nintendo's a lot less involved in this one. And in fact, a lot of the times when you are sent the files, this is more of a... Well, this isn't completely accurate. Because usually, you're not actually sent the files by Nintendo when you get an illegal game. Now again, I'm not talking about where to get things or the method therein. However, usually illegal Wii U games are obtained by downloading them from Nintendo on a computer and then moving those raw files over to your Wii U, wherein you apply a sig patch and install. However, for the simplicity of this diagram, I decided to leave the computer out of it. The only real difference is that this would go to your PC, then that would go to your SD card or USB, and then that would go to your Wii U. But it's roughly the same process, And on the 3DS, the PC isn't involved in that unless you want it to be. You can go directly from Nintendo to your 3DS. However, the setup is a lot different and more complicated on the 3DS. So, given that we know how that works, the really interesting thing now, and this is being made on February 26th, 2017. I'm not a 4chan user, so I don't know if anybody's found the title key for Zelda Breath of the Wild yet, but that game comes out in 5 days, right? So, Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? Right? And right now, people are trying to find the title key. So if you've seen anything about people trying to get Breath of the Wild early without being given access to it, this is what they're talking about. And this also applies for stuff like Pokemon, when it was leaked, people got it from Nintendo because they found the title key. Pokemon Sun and Moon, or any early game for Wii U 3DS. Yeah. Basically, when you're trying to get any game early, this is the things that you need to do. And this is where, I'll show you where people are getting stuck right now. So ideally, this is all of the things you need to do. So you need to exploit console. So make your console able to run whatever code you want, right? Set up a sig patch so you can install the game when you receive it, even though you obviously haven't bought it because it's not available yet. Right? Okay. Then you need the title key so that you can then pull from Nintendo servers, right? And that's usually done on a PC, like I said before. And then you install and play, with the caveat that online will get you banned. before the game comes out, because Nintendo has cracked down on that. So where are people stuck right now? They're stuck right here. Nobody knows what the title key for Breath of the Wild is. And people who have the disc copy, right? People who have the disc for Breath of the Wild, that has the key on it. The disc has the key. If you dump the disc to your console, you get the key. However, people who are working in game stores and are willing to steal the game aren't dumping the game. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's their decision. Now, they'll get fired and legally pursued by Nintendo for doing so, or for dumping it, but they could choose to do it anyway. If someone were to dump the key off of the disc onto a console and then send the key to the internet, then everybody could have Breath of the Wild on their consoles right now. But we're stuck at the title key. So that's what's happening right now. So I guess the only reason I wanted to make this is so that people know how this kind of stuff works and what people are really getting into when they talk about the specifics of getting Nintendo games illegally before they come out. And again, I'm not saying that this is something you should do. I'm not going to tell anybody how to do it, right? Well, no. I'm not going to tell anybody how to do it. If you ask me, I will give you a non-answer. You know, I don't want to get in trouble. It's not my place to tell you anyway. I'm not a very good tutorializer when it comes to complex things that could get you in legal trouble. That's not my place. But I hope that having watched this, you know a little bit more about how WiiU exploits and game retrieval kind of work. And I think if you are interested in WiiU or 3DS hacking, this should give you a good framework for understanding what people are talking about when they talk about the specifics of doing something like getting a game early. And if you're interested in doing that, you can find the places to talk about it and learn about it further. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Soul Closet out.